Hey folks, Ed from Brain Pulp TV, and at the time of this recording, this coming Friday is the release of the newest Magic the Gathering expansion, Aether Revolt, and every time there's a new expansion, we do some openings on the channel. This time is no exception, and today I'm going to be opening up the Planeswalker deck, Tezzeret, Master of Metal. Now, you might have already seen I have opened up the Johnny Planeswalker deck in a previous video, so if you haven't checked that out, a link will most likely be appearing. If you have checked it out, then welcome back, and hopefully this one will go as well as that one. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, most of you probably are, but just in case some of you are not, these Planeswalker decks are the new replacement product for the intro packs, or the intro decks of old. These are 60-card decks. Each deck has a Planeswalker and I believe 3 different cards that are specific to this deck that you won't be able to open up in the regular packs, yet those cards are still standard legal. Now, they made this change with the previous set Kaladesh with the Nissa and Chandra Planeswalker decks, both of which we've played on the Mana Cave against each other. We're going to be doing the same thing with Tezzeret and Ajani, so keep a lookout for that coming up, possibly this coming Friday, if not the following Friday then. On top of the deck itself and the new Planeswalker you're going to get 2 boosters with this particular pack, and there's a couple other things inside, and I will show you what those are right now. Okay, so I'm just going to crack this open. Before I go any further, Master of Metal, you know, for someone who is, still is for the most part, pretty big into heavy metal, I thought that was a very, very cool name for this Planeswalker, so, and for the deck, I guess. Ooh, this one's got some broken plastic in it. I don't know how the hell that happened. I'm assuming it was shipped when it was quite cold. It's the only way I could really see this plastic shattering like this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to clean this little mess up for a sec. Okay, I think that takes care of all the little plastic bits. I'm going to try to very carefully extract the Planeswalker from the packaging here. Now, it's important to also point out that these are foil, the Planeswalkers that you get from these particular decks. And they are all, at least they've all been so far, 6 cost Planeswalkers. Tezzeret in the regular Aether Revolt set, I believe, is a 4-drop. So this is a 6-drop, and it also has different abilities and a different name, in which case, once again, Master of Metal. Okay, so for 6 mana, 4 a blue and a black, you get a Planeswalker Tezzeret, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I'm sure there'll be some comments on that. It is a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. The +1 is reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. The -3 is target opponent loses life equal to the number of artifacts you control. The -8 is gain control of all artifacts and creatures target opponent controls. So aside from the Planeswalker itself, which I will leave right there, the decks also have nice little deck boxes. There's cardboard, but still the artwork on them is wonderful. And the best thing about these particular boxes, unlike with the dual decks, is that these, as you can see, are large enough to fit sleeved cards, which I think is a very, very smart design choice by Wizards. So I'm glad they did that, and I really hope they do that with any future dual decks, but I won't hold my breath. And this is the... like I said, this plastic is not the type of plastic that really shatters, so I'm guessing it was really cold because it's really cold where I live, and it is winter, and it just must have got dropped while it was frozen and just shattered. Now, aside from the box, you of course get the deck, and I will get into that in just a second. You also get the 2 booster boxes. I wish you got 2 booster boxes with these decks. You get 2 booster packs, like I mentioned before, and you get this leaflet, poster, however you want to say it, that has a deck list of what's in the deck in case you need to have to put it back together or something like that. It also comes with information on the Master of Metal himself, Tezzeret, and, you know, it makes a cool little poster, giving him a bit of lore, information on him. I think there's more on the back as well, too. You know, his likes, dislikes, his whole dating profile is probably there, so we will set that aside. You also get the quick reference guide, which is very, very useful for new players. I kept mine beside me when I was getting back into Magic so I could sort of have a refresher as to what I can and can't do on my turn and my opponent's turn. So once again, not useful for the veterans, But for new players, this is very useful, and I think decks like this can be very useful for new players because it allows a player to open up a couple packs and get some cool cards and gives them a deck which is already made, and they can sort of figure out how to play Magic with a deck that's already been built for them. Okay, let's set all this other stuff aside for now, and I will get into what is in the deck itself. Let's open this sucker up. I was going to say they made it easier to get into, and they did, really. I'm all thumbs today, so there we go. Now, I'm not going to read every single card. I'll mention the name of every single card, but I'm not going to read off all the cards. I will read the rare cards. And in this case, we start with Merchant's Dockhand. It is a 1-drop artifact creature construct. It's a 1/2. For 3 and a blue, you can tap it, tap X untapped artifacts you control. Look at the top X cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Quicksmith Spy, which is 4-drop, 3 and 1 blue, gets you a 2/3 Human Artificer. When Quicksmith Spy enters the battlefield, target artifact you control gains tap, draw a card for as long as you control Quicksmith Spy. Here is one of the cards which is specific to this deck. These cards are standard legal, though you won't be able to open them up in regular Aether Revolt packs. Tezzeret's Betrayal. A 5-drop sorcery, 3, a blue and a black, gets you destroy target creature. You may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Tezzeret, Master of Metal. Reveal it, put it in your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. You're going to get 2 of those. Okay, so now I'm just going to read off the cards unless I see a particular card I want to make a comment on, like Ornithopter here. I ran one of these in my pre-release decks because when I saw it in the packs, I just had to. I did have a couple of cards that worked with it, that gave it a bit of synergy with this particular, so it wasn't just thrown in for, giggles, though for the most part it was just thrown in for giggles. You just get 1 in this deck, though. We'll actually flip that way. A Augmenting Automaton. Couple of them. Dun Operative. I'm going to try to keep these in focus as best I can, folks. Tezzeret's Simulacrum. Butchered the pronunciation of that one, I can tell you. Dukara Peafowl. Treasure Keeper, which is a really, really cool card. I will probably draft quite a few of these when I do start drafting this particular set. Foundry Assembler. Bastion Inventor. A MVP from my pre-release deck. This card was really, really great. Improvise within the right deck. Very, very useful, and being a 4/4 hexproofer that you can get out fairly early if you're lucky is really, really great and difficult to get rid of for your opponent. Windkin Raiders. Ironclad Revolutionary. Barricade Breaker. Fen Hauler. Just 1-drop, or just 1 of each of these things. Universal Solvent. You get 2 of those, though. Man, focus, please. Pendulum of Patterns. Oh, playset of that. Implement of Examination. Essence Extraction. Tezzeret's Touch. Enchant Creature. Enchant Artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5, in addition to its other types. When the enchanted artifact is put in the graveyard, return that card to its owner's hand. I just read that off because being able to turn an artifact to a 5/5 creature was an ability that was also on the previous version of Tezzeret, I believe. So it's something where it's interesting that they created an enchantment that sort of mimics one of his Planeswalker abilities. So for a flavor, I thought that was kind of neat. Reverse Engineer. Submerged Boneyard, once again, one of the cards that you will not be able to open up in the regular Aether Revolt packs, but are in the Planeswalker decks, and you get a playset of that, and then I believe the rest is just islands and swamps. And now that I've shown off the deck, let's crack open the 2 packs that came with the Planeswalker deck and see what we got. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen the Ajani Planeswalker deck opening I did, but I definitely got a flavor win with the packs. I don't know if I'll get the same sort of deal with these ones from the Tezzeret Planeswalker deck, but hopefully, with any luck. Alley Strangler. I'll read off the uncommons and then read the full rare, but I'm just sort of like seeing if there's anything. The Verdant Automaton. Automaton, right? That's the correct pronunciation? Whatever. Anyways, this was another card which was an MVP in the pre-release deck that I built. And after a while, people really wanted to get rid of this card fairly quickly after it hit the battlefield, especially if it's late in the game where they know you have a lot of disposable mana that you can use on it. Our first uncommon is Malfist Revolutionary, Rogue Refiner, Hungry Flames, and Dark Intimations. Dark Intimations. Yeah, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Anyways, it is a 5-drop 2 of anything, a blue, a black, and a red, gets you a sorcery. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, then discards a card. You return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand, then draw a card. When you cast a Bolas Planeswalker spell, exile Dark Intimidations from the graveyard, that planeswalker enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. Now, Bolas is not a planeswalker in this set, but it's most definitely going to be one in the next set. Not sure how I feel. It's kind of neat that they put a card in that's going to be a tip of the hat to the plane. I mean, there already was obviously a Bolas Planeswalker, so you could use this with that. But it's interesting in from a design perspective, I guess, and a flavor perspective, that they're sort of showing that he is going to be in the next set. But at the same time, it's not super useful. So I don't know if I'd be super thrilled to draft this card, though. I mean, it does have some decent upsides, but anyways, I'm not sure how to feel about this card. Then we have a foil Decommission, a Mountain, and a Thopter token. And the second pack anything interesting? Renegade Map. I mentioned this in the previous opening. There was a card that helped a lot in my pre-release deck. It also enables Revolt quite nicely. We have a Malfist Revolutionary, which I believe we had in the other pack. Maverick Thopterist. Almost sure I pronounced that correctly. Reckless Racer, and our rare is Peace Walker Colossus, a 3-drop artifact vehicle. When it is a creature, it's a 6/6. You can pay 1 white. Another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until the end of turn. Crew 4. One of my opponents had this in their deck, and it caused me so much problem when it hit the battlefield, because I don't think they ever turned this into a creature. I think they just had it sitting there so that they could animate some of their other vehicles. So it was very, very useful for them. We got a Plains and a Gremlin token. So there you go, folks. That was the Tezzeret Planeswalker deck. It came with, of course, the Master of Metal and a couple extra rares from the pack. So overall, an interesting deck. Not sure how it's going to play. I think I mentioned this before, but I mean, these decks are not going to win you any Pro Tours or probably any FNMs, but still, they are playable decks, and Travis and I will be testing these out in an upcoming Mana Cave. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, if you would like to let me know what you pulled in any of your packs during the pre-release or after the pre-release or whenever, or from the Planeswalker deck, or if you play with the Planeswalker deck and want to let me know what you think, you can leave that in the comments section below. You can also follow and contact us on Twitter at BrainPulpTV, or you can follow and contact me, Ed, directly on Twitter at Geek Tragedy. And now that all is said, take care, everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It means a lot to us. May all your pulls be mythics, and I'll see you all very soon.